come here, listen. Now, I'm going to tell you something, but you gotta promise to keep it a secret. It's something that's going to help you create really awesome dungeons, but only if you keep it on the QT. All right, I don't think anyone's listening. So here it is. Secret doors. And not just secret doors. Secret niches, fake ceiling panels, trapdoors in the floors. Anywhere that you can put a secret entrance to somewhere else, that's a secret door. Use them right and you are going to increase the excitement and mysteries of your dungeon. And keeps or caverns or anywhere else that there's an entrance to some place. But here's the thing. In order to retain their power, you gotta keep a secret door a secret. Capiche? Hello folks, KR King here, helping you homebrew your own D&D campaigns. So today I'm going to be talking about secret doors, what they should conceal, when you should use them, how they would appear to the players, and, how you open them or, potentially have a trap. And I'm killing two birds with one stone because I'm making this part of my continuing discussion of the Dungeon of the Mad Mage Level 1. Because this dungeon, in using secret doors, illustrates some of the concepts that I'm going to be talking about in this video. It does some of them in a really good way, and then sometimes it falls short a little bit. Because here's the thing, secrets always add to the excitement and intrigue of your world. In fact, I have a whole video on secrets that you should check out. We all love to hear secrets, and when the players find out something that's been held secret, again, a secret door that's an entrance to they don't know where, it increases the excitement, but they also understand there's a risk behind that door. All right, so let's set some ground rules on why someone would create a secret door or niche to some area. What purpose does it serve? And I think the most obvious reason is to hide something of value. Because the thing is, if you're going to go through the trouble of making a secret door, which is going to be a lot of trouble if you're making one that's very difficult to discern, you're only going to do that if you are protecting something of value to you. A great treasure, magic item, a route to somewhere else, or to hide in a safe room from potential adversaries, or a room by which you could spy on people. And if discovered, a secret door can provide a place for someone to hide themselves or spy on other people themselves. And secret doors provide the entrance to a classic escape route. The keep is totally surrounded and there's a secret door that leads to a tunnel outside somewhere. And as we'll see, secret doors are utilized to some extent, all of these different fashions in the first level of the Mad Mage's dungeon. So the second question you always have to ask yourself when you're creating a secret door in your own dungeon is, how does it appear? Because clearly it's going to look like anything but a door. Now, there's a little sidebar here. One time, I built a secret, it was a painting, life-size painting of a door that was a secret door. The thing is, even if you have a map that tells you, there are secret doors here, if it looks exactly like a stone wall with, no cracks or seams or any obvious, telltale signs, how do you figure out where exactly it is? And if you have no map and you have no idea, hey, there's a secret door in this room, do you just happen upon it? Or how is it you go about that process of discovering it? And then how and why do you vary the difficulty of discovering a secret door? And so the next question is, once you've discovered there's a secret door here, how do you open it? Is there a niche for a key? Some kind of trigger mechanism? Do you have to speak a specific phrase? Like the secret door into the Mines of Moria in Lord of the Rings. Is there a mechanism in the room or in the passageway nearby? Do you have to pull a book out of a bookshelf or move a sword in a suit of armor? Or once you know that, hey, there's a secret door here, I have no idea how to open it, can you break it down like any other door? And then the final thing, is there a trap on this secret door? I feel like in some ways in the modern game, people don't use traps as much. We always used them. I do enjoy them. The thing is, you're creating this secret door, you're trying to protect something valuable. Why not add a little extra pain to anyone who may violate the sanctity of the area that you're protecting? And of course, then the follow-up is, if there is a trap, can it be disarmed or disabled? All right, so first let's look at the secret doors on the first level of the Dungeon of the Mad Mage. So you've got 12 secret doors, although there are 3 sets of 2 doors that basically open up into the same area. And you've also got a trap door spike pit, which is, kind of a quasi secret door trap. So if we look at the, setup text of this module, it states in terms of secret doors that they're fashioned in the same material in which they're set, typically stone, and it takes a DC 20 perception check to detect the secret door. And in the Dungeon Master's Guide, it says it takes a passive perception check just to walk in and notice one, then another perception check if you're actively searching to discover the secret door, then an investigation check to try to figure out how the door works. Now, as sometimes happens in 5e, there's a bit of fuzzy overlap here. I have no problem with using a passive perception check to just see if a player notices something in the room out of the ordinary, a slight breeze, or something, or a damp area, maybe even like scuff marks on the floor. But when actively looking for a secret door, I might allow both checks. It depends on the party composition. Because in fact, sometimes I think an investigation check based on, knowledge and logic might be more useful when trying to discover a secret door than perception. But if you want to go by the DMG, you just want to do the perception check, that's the rule. Investigation to figure it out, that's fine too. So in the Mad Mage setup, they give this DC 20 as a standard difficulty to detect, unless stated otherwise. But in fact, the only one that they say is in room 4. It has one of these eye holes drilled in it. There's no ability check. You just see that there's a secret door there. And as I mentioned in an earlier video, I would also give the secret door in room 1 very little difficulty, if any, because, many adventurers have gone there and it has a spy hole drilled in it. But, overall, should all the secret doors have the same DC to discover, and should they, simply look like the wall they're in? And I would say typically the DC of a secret door being discovered would correlate in some way to the value of what it's hiding. Well, for example, let's look at this secret door in room 37. It is hiding the only access in terms of hallways to the stairs going down to the next level. That's a pretty valuable secret. Should it have a high DC? I say no, and there's 2 reasons for this. Notice that this door also only gives access to the rooms in Area 39. These are the main headquarters of the Bugbear Goblin Force sent by Xanathar to take control of this level. And they're going to be moving back and forth to the rooms of Area 23. Why? Because this is another outpost of the Bugbear Goblin group. So, they're going to be using this secret door all the time. And in fact, the text says that you'd see footprints, near this door. But again, if goblins are using this, how difficult is it to open, or close this door? They're not very smart. In fact, it might even be disabled. But another critical thing is, in terms of dungeon design practice, it's never a good idea to make a secret door the only access point to get to another level. An escape route, a treasure room, safe room, a shortcut through the dungeon, those are fine. But if you set up a secret door as the only way to get to another layer and your players don't discover it, that can be a nightmare. Maybe they didn't look, or maybe they did and they didn't make a DC 20. Now they're going to go through the entire dungeon and they're going to realize we didn't find the entry point to the next level. They're going to have to go through the entire dungeon again to search. That, my friends, is a pain in the ass. So in this case, you have a legacy secret door, which is now used by all sorts of creatures. It's very clear that it's there, the mechanism disabled, whatever. Probably not much of an ability check. And here's another aspect of thinking about secret doors when you're designing them. Let's say it does have a DC of 20 to discover it. Does that apply to the passive perception check? This dungeon is designed for 5th level characters. That's a +3 proficiency. Even if you have an 18 wisdom, without some buffs or something, you're not going to perceive that passively. So you say, well, no one's going to walk in the room and just go, oh, look, a secret door, right? Well, but what about other kind of passive checks? Would there be something, like the breeze going across the room, or maybe in one corner there's sort of a musty smell, or, it's a little moist, or even scuff marks on the floor? What would be the DC for a passive perception of that? You also want to be creative in thinking about the appearance of the doors, secret doors, what's disguising them. And on this level, they have in room 2A, they have a series of bas relief carvings in the wall. There's like 13 of them, various demons, 2 of which are hiding secret doors. One has the eye hole that I mentioned, no ability check, that goes into room 4. Now, as per the text, the other one should have a DC of 20, except one the players, when they go in, realize, hey, these bas reliefs may have a secret door, but also Hallister has placed the skeleton of a Kenku on the floor, pointing to the bas relief which has the secret door. Why is that? Well, he wants them to go there because it leads to this flooded room with a statue, and living in this room is a gray ooze which attacks the player, and there is no treasure in this room. Classic Screwjob. Now, in terms of dungeon building practice, it's really good to have one of these disguised secret doors early on so that your players, when they discover it, go, oh, okay, it's not just smooth wall or whatever. There's items or, bits of furniture or something that may be disguising a secret door. And that's up to your creativity. We've all seen movies with, the sliding panel or bookshelf or whatever. But again, I've seen this with, an oven or a fireplace or, anything that you can think of. All right, so once the secret door is discovered, how is it opened? There might just be a niche in the door that has a keyhole. Now, where is the key? Is there only one key in the entire world that opens this door? Or are there 4 identical keys and you have to figure out what's the right one? But another one is the trigger pad. It's either in the floor or in the wall. You push on something. There's an object in the room that has to be moved, a book pulled from a bookshelf, or, the sword being removed from the suit of armor. I've seen, chess pieces have to be arranged a certain way. You could have another secret niche, say behind a painting or in a carving. You open that and there's the key. I've also seen where you have to play musical notes on some instrument, perhaps a niche in the door shows these notes, and then a player, if you have a bard or somebody with some musical ability, figures out how to play them. You can also have the classic phrase, as we talked about, or riddle. As I said, I did a video on puzzles. I'm not a big fan of riddles because oftentimes when I think them up and I think it's fairly simple, the players just can't figure it out. It leads to tremendous frustration. Now, it says in the DMG that players use the investigation check to figure out how a door works. But again, this might be a niche that contains a key or the musical notes. So is that a perception thing? You got to decide this. As I said, I think both of these, it's a little fuzzy here. The key is to let the players figure this out. Make a second level step here. So if there are notes, well, where do I play that? Where? And then they go to some room and there's a giant pipe organ or something like that. It's funner if there's multi-steps and they have to figure it out. And what's interesting here is, aside from the bas relief sculpture, all of the secret doors on this first level are just doors. It just says DC 20 and it opens. I would want to be more creative. I would want to differentiate between, the value of what the secret door is hiding. So another important aspect in terms of dungeon design and placement of secret doors is the geography of the dungeon in terms of where they appear. If we look at this map here, this hallway that goes down to room 11 is a dead-end hallway. And experienced players are going to be like, well, why does this hallway just end? I'm going to search for a secret door. Now, as I mentioned in that earlier video, sometimes dungeon hallways just end, for whatever reason. The person that built it died, or they ran out of funds, or they just lost interest, or they just ended it to create a trap, people running away, and they run down the series of hallways, and I assemble my forces, and now they're trapped. But again, the geography can lure people. If we look at the 2 secret doors that lead to Area 7, the Vampire's Crypt, this first one is just going to be along a wall. It's not going to attract much attention. But the second one is down at the end of this hallway, and players are probably going to be more likely to search. Now, here's a point of order in practice. When players enter a room, do they just declare, we search the room for secret doors? And in this case, do you allow this entire 6A, or what about this hallway here? Is that part of we're going to search the room, or what about this hallway over here leading to Area 8? In other words, where does it end when they say we search the room? If they say we're going to search every square inch of this room, or everywhere we go, we're always looking for secret doors. Well, is that going to slow them to a crawl? Are you going to make more chances for wandering monsters? And this leads to a more fundamental issue of, as a GM, do you want your players to find the secret doors? And I've talked about ones that have a low DC, the one where there's an eye hole poked in. But let's say you have a secret door that leads to something very valuable, the treasure room of a lich. And you might think, hey, this has to have like a DC 30 to discover. Why? Because adventurers have gone by and never discovered it, and most likely the lich, he went to great expense and whatever to create this door. He killed all the workers so that no one would ever hear about it. But, you know, let's say you have a group of players and one has a very high wisdom or, you know, investigation check, however you're running this, and they say, I'm going to take a full hour to search and really do it, and another player helps them and whatnot. Could they get to a DC 30? And if that's possible, why haven't other adventurers done the same thing? And the thing about it is it's fun to discover a secret door. So my advice would be to avoid putting some super high DC on a door that leads to something very valuable and instead concentrate on the DC of a trap, that, causes pain and suffering to those who try to open the door. So in other words, the Lich's treasure has never been disturbed because the DC 30 trap that deals 50 D10 poison gas has killed all the adventurers that dared violate the sanctity of his treasure room. Now, of course, a 50 D10 poison cloud is a little ridiculous, and also it's kind of boring. Because what's more interesting is you discover the door, maybe it has a trap, maybe it's poison gas, but it's not that deadly. But what's deadly are the series of passageways and rooms filled with, constructs, elementals, traps that guard the Lich's treasure. Because here's the thing, there's no fun in players passing by a secret door. The fun is them discovering it and then finding out what's behind. Now, when you put a trap on a secret door, you want to determine the DC for, seeing that it's there and then disabling it. Now, the DMG suggests a perception check to see if a door is trapped, then a dexterity check to figure out if you can disable it. Again, I feel like logic could be part of this process. Investigation check might work. Decide this in terms of the, composition of your group. Obviously someone with a good sleight of hand or a thieves kit is going to be able to do the classical mechanical trap, but it might be something magic that you have to use to dispel magic. And, an investigation sometimes would be more towards a wizard sort of thing that could detect that. And in fact, the only trap I see in Dungeon of the Mad Mage is a pit trap here in 28D. It's fairly deadly here, 3d6 bludgeoning damage and 2d10 piercing. Now, what's interesting here is the text says that you can use a perception check, a DC 15, to discover this if you are searching for traps. But again, would you have a passive sort of check for this? You notice that the floor is a little lower in one area. Because are the players going to be constantly searching for traps? All right, so there you have some ideas on creating secret doors for your dungeon and lessons from the level 1 Dungeon of the Mad Mage. So remember, think about what it is the secret door is hiding, and then adjust the DC of discovering it, opening it, a trap behind it based on that value. And again, disguise them creatively. And finally, if you want to, punish people for opening the door, I prefer traps than merely making it impossible to find because we do want players to find our secret doors. And if you like what you've seen, please subscribe to my channel. I'm always looking for more. Leave some comments. I love to read them. But most importantly, keep playing D&D and tell somebody else about it.